okay when you come in and say, hey, we are doing this part-time at this point because we're also focusing on university and we're still studying here. That's absolutely fair. There's like no problem with that whatsoever, but they need to get their act together a little bit. They showed great games against the Zealots before. We've seen them with actually a good showing against Team Liquid. Against Team Dignitas, the first game fell apart. It's understandable. It is a map that snowballs very quickly, and that's exactly what happened to them. They got their first turn-in, lost a hero as the turn-in comes down, so they don't get value. Then Dignitas gets a double turn-in and snowballs it. Happens. It's Doom. But right now, I just want them to shake it off and say, okay, we might have lost this one. We might not take the series, but at least on Volskaya, we're going to bring the fight. So that's what I want to see from them right now. Give me an aggressive composition, do your thing, play your style, and just push Dignitas to the limit.
No Genji for Maka here, and we'll see if we're going to get that Malfurion picked up once again, or if Monkeys themselves will consider possibly taking your route. As that first pick isn't up and available. As I mentioned, we saw Malfurion in Game 1 for them on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Are there any other first picks that we might get from the Monkeys, besides Urel or Malfurion? Phoenix.
Phoenix would actually be a good one.
Does Phoenix never jump up for me? I see him all the time in these 1-2s, these 1s, these 1-2-3s.
Phoenix was interesting because after the first weekend, he had insane stats. He was actually at an 80% win ratio with 10 games played, which is pretty good if you have that small of a sample size. But then on the next day, Phoenix all of a sudden suffered 5 losses in a row and not a single win. And at this point, Phoenix is actually on 10 wins and 12 losses, so he has a negative win rate. So the priority is a bit odd to me for such an early first pick, but it really seems that a lot of the teams are currently valuing the combo with the salvo and having the slows in, and that seems to be a huge part. I like the way that Leftovers played it when they had Diablo with it and they were trying to execute the combo at the beginning of a fight, and because of how long it takes to secure the objective on Volskaya, you usually get a second combo off during the objective. So that's an advantage that you have here. But now that we're seeing the same rotation that we've been talking about in game number 1, Deckard Cain, by the way, over Malfurion. So Malfurion is still up and they still prioritize Deckard, which makes a lot of sense for the map, but they also take Urel again. Now that I see that combo again, I wonder why didn't they prioritize Urel? I thought that Alex would love to go for Urel. I think she caters to the map really nicely. So the Phoenix priority is weird. Phoenix is still strong, even though currently he doesn't look too good in the stats. But on number 1, on your first pick, that throws me off a bit.
The strength of what Salvo brings to a team fight is something that cannot be denied. The idea of, okay, we have to respect and understand that there could be a 5-man ult from Phoenix, and that's suddenly 400 or 500 damages on all of our targets, and that's a pretty hefty thing to deal with. So maybe Monkeys are trying to make sure to stay away from that. It was pretty instrumental in a lot of the fights that we have seen the last couple days. Monkeys, however, moving to Malfurion and a Nubrak, and I was wondering if we would get that Diablo here. We've seen him around in the past, but a Nubrak instead showing up.
I like the Nubrak for them a lot. They actually played him 4 times already, and they won 3 out of those 4 games. Especially against the Zealots, their Nubrak play was absolutely pivotal to secure the victory. So Dignitas is, of course, a very, very different beast, but I like that they are trying to approach the same style, and they played a Nubrak on this map too. So I like that rotation a lot from them. It's just that early Phoenix pick that still has me a bit wondering of what's going to happen here. Because I agree with you, the salvo is great, but at the same time, quite often you don't see the salvo confirm a kill. And then what do you get out of it? If there's any kind of proper heal on the other side, then you simply re-engage and you're fine. So I'm a bit torn on the priority of Phoenix. I still like him as a hero a lot in these drafts. I just don't think that he's first pick worthy for the Monkeys with everything else that was still on the board.
Team Dignitas will ban Thrall out. Want to stay away from Poke.
I think this is just simply because Phoenix is in such a high priority.
Yeah.
They're looking at this and they're saying, okay, what are the heroes that give the most amount of slow and the most amount of synergy to Phoenix? First one, or one of them that comes to mind, is Diablo, as we said, but you already have an Nubrak taken as the main tag at the front line, so Diablo becomes less likely. You've seen Thrall in the last game already. You know that Alex wants to play it, so you ban him out, and therefore you deny Earthquake.
Do you consider banning Chromie here when it's Volskaya Foundry, just like Tomb of the Spider Queen? This is a map that she shows as well pretty often.
I think it's definitely a concern.
Yeah.
You don't have to ban Chromie. There's enough other heroes that really fit the bill too, and Jaina has another burst mage that we've already seen played, and she worked very well. But Chromie was definitely one of the heroes that was discussed in that second ban, and for Dignitas is still an option here.
The Jaina ban actually makes sense. The last 2 times that we've seen Dignitas on this map, they've actually played Jaina with Ringer Frost combos, trying to set that up. Actually, one was Ring of Frost, one was Water Elemental. Okay, well, Monkeys take away Jaina. Let's see, all right, Dignitas, what mage will we pull out here? Instead, if you're wanting some poke or even some burst possibility, Li Ming is still an option for Dignitas, and we've seen it from the Poik in the past. Chromie is an option that we've already discussed. Typically, mages on this battleground show up pretty often. Just being able to have that ability to kind of siege away is always nice.
Yeah, so what we need for Dignitas also is a frontliner. Garrosh worked well, mostly because we had the 7-sided Karazim and Jaina. If they don't plan of heading into anything along those lines, which I would assume since Deckard is already here, Jaina's taken away. I don't think they have the burst as a follow-up. I would still believe that Muradin would be great for them. And also, it would be what JPL usually plays. If they are worried about... again, that's actually... We've seen that from them. The Vala and Tassadar here.
Wait, will they go Vikings?
No, not with this. I mean, that would put Urel into the main tank position, and I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, JPL has ran Blaze as a main tank. I mean, it was in the early days.
Yeah, and that was like once. Make it twice.
I think it'd be cool.
Oh, it would be great, but I just don't see them go into a Vikings play with what they currently have. I still think that you need a proper tank for it, and while Urel is a fantastic solo laner, I don't really see her in the main tank position. It would also take any kind of CC away from them outside of ults that are being used or someone stepping into a Deckard Scroll. So I think you don't really have that point-and-click stun. I would say Muradin is still a really great option for them. Don't really feel that they are too worried about wave clear here. If that was the case, I would say Johanna would be the better option. But in this case, if you have the Stormbolt, if you have the escape abilities, a 1v9 potential is there. Zeratul has been taken.
The Wheel of Wisdom.
The Wheel of Wisdom is always right. And they go for Garrosh again. Even with that comp. Surprises me a bit. Just simply because they don't have lockdown. Garrosh is great because he is so sustainable, and of course he has also the Indomitable, which is fantastic for him. The main reason why I was leaning towards other heroes or not away from Garrosh is because this time there's no 7-sided strike and there's not as much burst damage as they had with the previous composition. So normally the thought process is you throw someone in with Garrosh, you either lock him down with stuns, with CC, which they can to an extent do with Deckard if they're quick enough with the execution, but you want to blow the target away. And against this, I'm not quite sure if that's really going to happen for them. But Garrosh still is strong at that front line, especially if you can also throw the Tassadar shield on him and keep him alive through that.
I actually really enjoy Garrosh against Cassia in particular. Her small range and the ability to get being an auto text puts her in the perfect position for you to land a Groundbreaker on her consistently. So finding a pick on Cassia is actually quite easy. So I actually enjoy the Garrosh coming in for that 5th pick, mostly because Cassia was picked.
I think a much better composition, or much more aggressive composition now for the Monkeys, but the beatdown that they experienced in game number 1 was pretty impressive by Dignitas. So Dignitas came here, all banter aside. Dignitas said, yeah, we might band around with them, but we are not going to lose the map here. We're going to make sure that this is going to be a 3-0. We need it for the standings. We're not going to take chances.
Game 2 is underway as Team Dignitas takes on the Monkeys. JPL to play Garrosh, we'll be playing Urel, Poik on Vala, Snitch on Tassadar, and Zelia on Deckard Cain.
Zelia again with the old man. Over to the right side of the map, we have their opponent, Crosby, on Cassia in game number 2. Marker finds himself on Phoenix. The Monkey King, Alex the Frog, going straight for Zeratul to 1v9. Rema Baller on the front line with the Nubrak, and Splendor once more on Malfurion.
So early game, Cassia is actually moving into her level 1, the Q build. Pretty popular if you're trying to stay away from an opponent that isn't going to be diving into, but you're wanting to also quick damage out. Thunder Stroke is the talent. Trying to get 40 heroes hit with your Lightning Fury, which gives you a second charge and also reduces the mana. So around level 13 to level 16, if you can finish that off and you're able to get your Pierce and such, you really start to chunk your opponent and really put them in a spot where they have to force a fight. And usually if you have Cassie and you're backing up, you can make that fight really work in the favor for you.
If you've never played the build, the Lightning Fury build with Cassia, then definitely check it out. It's insanely fun to play. So yeah, once you complete the quest and you get the 13-16 synergy, you are just poking and you have an insane amount of damage output even before you engage and go close in. So it's definitely a build that if you haven't played it yet, I can recommend trying it out. It's a lot of fun.
That it is. For now, Team Dignitas is clearing out these lanes, working on that Sidestorm talent here for Tassadar on the level 1, also working on the Groundbreaker. Alex and Prodigy joining the fights a little bit so far in today, both with Thrall and Zeratul, as he's helping with the wave clear too with that cleave build. Make playing a little bit more safer here on the side lane.
Yeah, and Mark is again stuck against Whoopi, so he is moving more and more into that side lane position. We've seen that now on the first map too, of the Spider Queen, and also on Volskaya. That leaves Alex more flexible for roaming, which is something that he really enjoys, roaming between lanes and trying to look for kills. With the Zeratul, that's going to be one of his jobs for sure. So we're going to find out throughout the game if he's successful with that. I also want to highlight quickly, this is the 4th time in HGC Europe that we now see Vala. She was played 3 times, won 2 out of 3 games, and Dignitas in particular have played Vala here already on Volskaya.
Vala making her showing. A few people in the community has mentioned that Vala, pretty darn weak. Her health pool is a little bit too low, and you want to be in a spot where you have at least a double support. That's where Tassadar really comes in and starts to shine. Tassadar himself considered a weak hero. The health pool that he has is ridiculously low, but if your opponent doesn't have any dive and you compare the two together, you can find some pretty solid results.
Yeah, Tassadar is definitely the hero that allows Vala to make it into these compositions. Without Tassadar, Vala is just too squishy. And you probably experienced that yourself in your games if at any point you've seen a solo support Vala play. If your opponent knows anything about the game and what they're doing, they're just going to dive Vala and blow her up within seconds. If there's no Tassadar shield available to get her through the early burst, then you normally don't stand a chance of surviving. The hybrid build, as normal, is being executed here. We also have with Tassadar, Kala's Light taken. You get the extra armor that helps you when Zeratul makes the engage happen. And talking about engage, JPL actually looking to see if he can maybe put Alex into a bad spot. Throw not quite working out for him. Both of the teams on even experience, as we're seeing the first control point unlocking in just a few seconds.
Yep, 2 seconds and counting. Mealy Wubby runs down, hoping to control the point. Urel very strongly holding her foundation area, especially at level 10 if you get that Sacred Ground. But even before then, you don't even need that heroic. Her knockback ability and her own sustain makes her to be someone that requires 2 to 3 people to actually break her down.
Also talking about Whoopi, he adjusted his build now a bit. With the focus on Vala here as the main damage dealer, we are seeing on level 4 the gift of the Naru taken. So instead of granting extra armor, you are now looking to heal after using Divine Purpose. So it's a bit of an adjustment from Whoopi. Personally, I'm curious to see if he still holds strong with the talent we've seen on level 7 on the last map, or now that we're looking at a bigger map, if he goes back into Divine Steed, which so far has been the priority talent within Europe.
Poik may get caught here in the middle and gets blown up actually as Crosby comes in, gets off the fin damage. JP all by himself now as Crosby steps up. Monkey Menagerie able to find a pick and will go ahead and grab the control point.
It's a really good job by Malfurion here in particular. He was waiting for the vault being used by Vala and then locked her down, and that allowed Crosby to get the entire damage through and finally took Vala down. So good job by Splendor. Well done, and the rest of the team followed up very, very nicely. As we talked about, the level 7 on Whoopi, so he goes into the Divine Pick at this point, making sure that you get that extra escape tool, that you can transition faster between lanes, that you more or less make yourself ungankable. So the adjustment that we talked about on Tomb of the Spider Queen, definitely more so dedicated towards the map and the special ways that you approach it, now that we're on a bigger one, getting the full value out of the mobility on 7.
Now both teams currently have double turrets and they'll fight over the point, trying to control it. Still currently being contested by both of our rosters. Team Dignitas looking for a flip, actually putting on a turret already. Alex Prodigy goes in, gets aggressive against Wubby. Wubby actually jumps straight forward, goes straight for Make. Make has to teleport away while Crosby is trying to get back to get healed up by Splendor.
It's a pretty good position for the Monkeys with the double turret that they had. The problem is there is a lot of poke for Dignitas, and they used that poke to just drop both of the turrets, and they themselves still held on to a few items that they now put into place. Make needs to be careful as Whoopi tries to go in again, playing a lot about the shield regeneration here, but we have the position secured again by Dignitas, and that's now spelling trouble for the Monkeys. They need to invade, and they need to do it fast.
Team Dignitas playing around this turret, using it as an anchor. Rimmer goes in for an engage. Alex Prodigy gets on a pretty big cleave, but gets stuck in a triangle here on the back right. The scroll able to connect. Wubby jumps in forward, trying to get Alex Prodigy to back up. But Make putting out a pretty decent amount of damage with the help of Crosby. Actually makes Dignitas back up. Wubby has to go and tap, and he'll be coming back to fight.
Really nice damage output from both teams here, and the Monkeys definitely fighting back. Whoopi at that front line, whenever he jumps in, receives a lot of damage, but Crosby has now completed the stacking process, and that's actually fantastic for them. So it's one of the strengths of Cassia on this map, that you get the stacking done so quickly. The engage happens. Poik is saved by JPL, but he himself is in trouble as Garros is getting focused. Barely gets away. Alex is low. Whoopi wants him. Does not close the gap in time, though.
Kane able to get those heals. Poik puts the damage out full on health, but all starting low on mana. Needs that multi-shot available to put out that damage. Splendor also low on mana too, meaning that the time for both of our teams is starting to get delayed here as their ability to fight will expire soon.
Insane first objective, and here comes the snap call by the Monkeys. They're trying to go in, but they lose Cassia. Whoopi is still alive. Make cannot take him down, has to use the warp to get away, and that's the protector number 1 in the hands of Dignitas. But a great fight still, very well done here by both teams. Very sustained battle. In the end, Cassia was forced to engage. Crosby just a second earlier tapped on the fountain, but had to engage before he got all of his hit points back and make that decision simply because they were so far behind in the process of the control point that they had no other choice than engage.
And Dignitas makes the routine rotation. Takes the turrets in the middle, turrets to the top, move in and look for the well. But the thing is, with them having level 10, they're even making a play for the fort, putting damage on it here. A fort is a little bit extra than what you normally get off the first protector, but with them having a solid lead experience, they're able to take it out, and there it goes. The Monkeys will lose their fort in the top right corner, and their well, meaning they'll be behind in the next control point phase.
We also see more adjustments now on Whoopi's side with the sacred ground being chosen. This is really dedicated to the objective on the map. You need point control, you want to go for the checkpoint, so Ardent Defender is not as important for them here. Instead, we have sacred ground now taken, so the extra armor is going to be super important, especially with the way that Whoopi was trying to always disrupt the flow of the Monkeys' setups. It makes a lot of sense for him to get that extra survivability. A nice Valkyrie though, as we have an attempt to fight back, and yes, Deckard is down. Great Cocoon also being used here as they're trying to chase in again. Hoik is so low, he gets the shield. Here comes the Tranquility as they're trying to sustain themselves through the fight. Snitch is low, but he might be able to get away from this one. Nice attempt by Cassia to aim for the structure to get the side poke with Lightning Fury, but it's not enough to drop another target.
Yeah, we'll be able to bring in that heal thanks to that level 4 talent to make sure that Snitch did not fall, that get to the Naru. But with Deckard Caden falling, Team Dignitas had to back up immediately. Monkeys able to find a lead in the kill.
Still pretty impressive that they were able to save not only Vala but also Tassadar, the two of them really doing well with the escape. But the Monkeys have now shown what their comp can do. You have the Void Prison, you have Cocoon, you can really start to isolate heroes very quickly here. And on top of that, Valkyrie can of course always target Vala if you get her, but ideally Deckard Cain, since he's lacking the escape tools that you normally want. So the Monkeys definitely fighting back. Game number 1, we talked about it. A lot of snowball from Team Dignitas, which led to that massive stomp that we saw there. But it's a different game now here on Volskaya Foundry.
Definitely holding their own, especially in that experience. 12 to a slight quarter here, and 12 just now hitting for the Monkeys, so only a little behind experience. They should be able to have a similar talent level when we move into the second control point. Team at Dignitas will now, of course, be a little bit more careful against that Valkyrie. That Valkyrie catching Xillia going to be an issue going forward if that continues to happen. We also have that web, too, which can force a fight at any point. That's the best part here about Monkeys competition, as you're mentioning, these heroics just being so powerful, saying, okay, let's fight right now if we can get that engaged.
Also, with Tranquility, you can really sustain yourself through a fight. You really want to dive in deep and force the battle. And this is one of the problems that you sometimes have with Tranquility, that you pop it and your opponent simply moves out and you don't get enough value out of it, and then they take the fight afterwards. That's not really an option for Dignitas, because Monkeys can force the battle around Cocoon, around the Valkyrie or the Void Prison. So there should always be enough value for Splendor that he knows exactly when to use Tranquility so that he gets the most value for his team. But they have to confirm these kills then. One of the things that is going to become a bit of an issue is the level 13 talent that we're now seeing on the side of Urel. That has become a bit of a staple in her build. We're now seeing the Aldor Peacekeeper, so it's a lot about the damage reduction that you can push onto your opponent. A little bit similar to what we see with Leoric and the Ominous Wraith. You're really just trying to make sure that those damage dealers don't pack as much of a punch to threaten, first of all, yourself, but also the squishies, and in this case, that's of course Vala.
30% for 3 seconds, but hang on and engage on Cassia. She goes in for the Valkyrie, but Xillia and crew all just jump in. JPL helping with the taunt as well. Wubby continues to hop around as he's going in for Rimmer. He'll have a knockback pretty soon here. If he's able to get on top of Rimmer, they might be able to get the pick, but with Burrow Charge about to be available, Dignitas backs up.
Dignitas with a great engage here. Really good kill against Cassia. Comes also at a fantastic time. The objective is active and Dignitas is now rotating over, but they still need a bit of time until they secure the point. And that allows Cassia to come back into it. And we've been talking from the get-go about her build, and especially the level 1, of course, is crucial. Thunderstroke, just getting the increased damage on your Lightning Fury and also the mana reduction is important, but the Thunder God's Vega on level 13, that's where a lot of the build comes online, since you get cooldown reduction. You're hoping for the Pierce then on 16 as well, but this is already an important step. Splendor, on the other hand, in a bit of an awkward spot here. Alex comes in and immediately drops the Void Prisons there while Listen comes out and Malfurion still falls.
And Wubby doesn't mind. He jumps in, hits on top of 3, can jump again. Can he go in? Why does Wubby continue to jump, Caldor?
Because he can.
That's right. Having the constant engages here from the GOAT allows for Team Dignitas to deal with that VP, and also Splendor getting caught in that bottom left a little bit too much as the Monkeys lose 2.
This is a bit of a theme with Splendor and Malfurion lately. Like, he has some really great moments where he just creates a perfect opportunity for a kill, but we oftentimes see him step a bit too far forward and then getting punished for it. Either by a throw, by displacement, or simply because the opponent collapses on him immediately and focuses him down. He is a new player in the team, so there's definitely a bit of a different rhythm to team fights and the way that they play compared to what he experienced in Team Liquid. So there's some time for him to adjust that, but it's definitely an issue that he needs to target in the long run.
Wouldn't mind if he had a Twilight Dream there. Could have turned that around pretty quickly, especially with that VP. But Tranquility, the pick here, so you need to play a little bit more passive, have somewhere for your team to anchor back to and come to you. Granted, the Ice Block is something that makes you feel like you're a little bit invincible. Team Dignitas gets the second control point, and they'll grab the Protector and push top lane.
One of the things I really like with the Vala adjustment that we have, we don't see Manticore, which has been a very, very popular talent now as Vala makes her way back. But instead it's Frost Shot. And I really like it because you have more poke available from a safer distance, and you also control the movement of your opponent a lot more when they're trying to make the engage happen. You can walk or vault away, drop a Frost Shot, slow everyone down, and that's a fantastic tool if you're just trying to make sure that you get some free damage and allow also your team to readjust their positioning during the team fight. And talking about team fights, the Monkeys are desperately attempting to hold on to the key, but that's not going to happen. Eventually it's going to fall. The Monkeys still need their 16, so they really don't want to fight here. They need to be careful, since Dignitas can always try and turn this one around. But at least for now, Dignitas is backing off, moving straight down to the middle, maybe even transitioning to the bot lane. But we still see a fort, but the Monkeys have their 16, and that of course empowers especially Zeratul now, so Alex can try and bring his 1v9s into play.
I would argue that this 16 is probably the biggest power spike this competition is going to get.
For sure.
I mean, Cassia with the Pierce coming online, being able to get that cooldown reduction coming on thanks to that level 13. Epicenter coming online for a new Brack if you're able to get multiple targets caught there. Suddenly they're knocked up and you can have Cassia follow up into a Finn. And then as you mentioned, Zeratul with that cleave damage is going to be pretty darn powerful. Monkey even feeling comfortable. You see them stepping up a little bit. They're trying to find somebody to pick.
Void Slash on 16 is just where Zeratul really comes online. It's not only that increased damage that you've been talking about if you hit more than an enemy hero, but that cooldown reduction that comes with it, those extra 3 seconds that you shave off, is absolutely insane. You can, in a big team fight that is clustered around an area, you can just absolutely keep slashing, and with your Void Slash and make sure that you are getting that cleave damage through everyone. And then you follow it up with a salvo and with a bit of Cassia damage, and all of a sudden you're PG.
Zeratul literally becomes a self-contained Wombo combo. You can wormhole into a fight, drop down that cleave, VP up if you can hit 2 to 3 people, and then wait for the VP to expire. By then your cleave will be back up, and then you hit it once again. You shred team fights, and as you mentioned, the follow-up is always great too. But with that all being said, the lead is still here for Team Dignitas as they have an 18.25 to 16.5 experience. Alex Saproji trying to get a fight here. Valkyrie comes out, will connect once again on Decker Kane. Salvo hits afterwards. Cocoon used on Garrosh.
They're forcing the fight here, but Anubarak dies early on. Vala just taking him apart. The Void Prison is in, but Alex in trouble. He dies too. And what looked like the Monkeys trying to set up a big fight and a big concave against Dignitas just backfired horribly as they are getting ripped to pieces here. They can't confirm their own kill. Ural immediately targeting the Cocoon once the Danubara committed to it. And now Dignitas with another double kill. 3 levels ahead once again. 6 kills to 2. Dominating the map. And just push in that bot lane, opening it up to get the value from the next protector that will spawn at the bot lane.
There are moments when I just want to grab on a Poik's cheeks and just tell him how amazing he is as a video game. Poik was able to work in so many auto attacks, dodge on the VP, put pressure on Zeratul, land a perfect Rain of Vengeance, just to make sure that Dignitas didn't fall victim to anyone there. That follow play in that latest team fight was beautiful.
Yeah, and here on the other hand, he gets sucked in, and that might be the kill, and they need that, but no, far from it. At that point, Urel comes through with the extra heal, and we're seeing the immediate shield from Tassadar. A triple kill against the Monkeys again, as they are trying to force a fight on even talents. They know Dignitas is about to hit 20. They snap, make the decision to go in, they call it and say, guys, we need to take it now, but they lose 3 heroes, and now Dignitas is once again on the core.
Turret being used, grab a little bit of that aggro from the core, so they're able to put some damage on it. There go the shields, and now the health will begin to drop on the core. Rimmer even dropping down the Hearthstone, realizing, all right, maybe this game is over, and we'll have to find a way to come back in game number 3. 20 connects for Dignitas. Rimmer gets tossed to the side. He goes for the burrow charge while Stay All Listen comes out from Malfurion to buy some time for Team Dignitas to kill the core.